All right, so it is Monday, December 21st, 2020, and we just got news last night and tonight that Congress has now reached a $900 billion COVID stimulus deal. And we're still waiting on the actual text of that, but there are reports coming out of what, at least some of what is in the bill here. So Zero Hedge had a nice little summary here. So we'll just go through real quick. So direct payments of $600 to most Americans, $600 per adult, and $600 per child. And in the first round of stimulus payments, we had 1,200 um, for adults, and then 500 for kids, younger kids. So this is a little bit less. So like I've got a wife, two kids, and that's makes four. So last round I got 3,400. Looks like this round I'll get 2,400, which is what it is. Not much to sneeze at compared to what a lot of other countries have done, but Congress, in its infinite wisdom, has continually addressed stimulus through businesses rather than through individuals, which is a very different approach than most other countries have taken. So yeah, that's what it is. Now we do know I have several clients who have yet to receive anything from the first round, so their processing leaves a little bit to be desired. But most people have gotten their funds from the first stimulus by this point. What is that? 9 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. They're keeping $300 per week enhanced unemployment benefits through March. A lot of programs are expiring. For gig workers, like people who work for Uber and Lyft and those kind of people. So those payments are going to continue. This is the biggie: 284 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program that provides forgivable loans to small businesses. So the first round of Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. The first round of those are starting to be forgiven now, and people are finding a little bit of like hidden gotchas. Like some people are realizing that if they took an EIDL grant as well as PPP money, then the EIDL grant gets applied against the PPP forgiveness. So I have one client who, had PPP money, spent it on payroll, and but also got $8,000 of EIDL, and then so that 8,000 is not forgivable, and now that becomes a long-term loan. $82 billion for education, includes 54.3 billion for K-12, 22.7 for colleges. Governors would get 4.05 billion to spend on education aid at their discretion. For-profit colleges would get 908 million. Another 1.7 billion would be set aside for historically Black colleges, tribal colleges, minority-serving institutions. Okay. Now we know that a lot of the schools have been hit pretty hard. Enrollment's down. People students have said, why are we paying full tuition if we're not getting full access to facilities and things like that? $10 billion for childcare. That's an interesting one. We don't know. I don't know any more details on that yet, but could very well be something to get there. And then a lot of it goes into more specific things. So 15 billion in grants for theater operations. There's a big chunk in this article about the airlines. They're getting another $15 billion. 25 billion in rental assistance and an extension of moratorium on evictions. That's a big deal. So what form that rental assistance will take is not revealed yet. Extension on the moratorium of evictions is another another issue. So we have these people who own these properties and have rented out, and a lot of them haven't been paid in months and months and months, and they can't do anything about it. So meanwhile, a lot of them are not able to pay their mortgages. So it's down the line that that these non-payments have been an effect on the housing market, and without being able to evict, then we're just staying in the same place, and we'll see what ends up happening after all this gets finalized. So there's a couple options. So one option is that you basically force everyone into either a secured or unsecured loan, where the renters would have to pay back the landlords over some specified amount of time. Maybe it's 3 years or 5 years or something. But then the chances of a landlord actually collecting on that is pretty low. Let's be honest. So for the people who haven't been able to pay because businesses were shut down, lost their jobs, all this kind of stuff with COVID, then adding on a giant liability on the end is very difficult. So another possibility is that all back rent just magically gets forgiven, at the insistence of the government. So, if that happens, that's really a big, stick in the eye to people who have been paying their rent, because why should they have paid if it was all going to just go into nothing? And then at the same time, if that happens, then what happens to the amounts that the landlords owe to the mortgage companies? And so again, we could do like a forced loan modification. That would make some kind of sense if there's a corresponding amount of asset on the landlord side created by the amounts due from the renter. But it's a giant mess basically. Because so let's say somebody moves out and then they don't pay this amount. So yeah, they have an issue, but you can't get blood from a stone. So what does the landlord then turn around and do to the mortgage company? So it's a sticky situation. 13 billion in funds for food stamp and child nutrition benefits. Okay. And then 30 billion for the procurement and distribution of a COVID vaccine, as well as testing and tracing. So obviously, Pfizer and Moderna are going to be the recipients of that one. 1.8 billion in tax credits for businesses to provide paid leave, and that's very similar to what's already been in place for the tax credits for the people impacted by COVID. So there's one interesting part buried here in the end. So in addition to a $15 billion airlines rescue bridge line, the draft language of the emergency coronavirus relief package includes a tax break for corporate meal expenses. President Trump has talked about securing the deduction, derisively referred to as the 3 martini lunch by critics, as a way to revive the restaurant industry badly battered by the pandemic. And so Mnuchin included the meal deduction as a White House priority in negotiations. Critics said it would have little effect and largely benefit business executives who do not urgently need help at this time. So, for decades now, meals have been only 50% deductible. So it used to be meals and entertainment, but with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which was the Trump tax reform at the end of 2017, they actually got rid of the deductibility of entertainment altogether. So then it was just business meals. And so, you take a client to lunch, you spend $200, let's say, 100 of that is a deduction, 100 of it is not. And then, the tax savings on that $100 just depends on whatever your tax rate is. So with this language, then we're saying that, okay, meals are going to be fully deductible. So now, that's a marginal incentive to then increase your spending on meals. So, and when you take those clients to lunch, are you getting the 3 martinis? Are you getting the nicer thing? Because, hey, it's a tax write-off, right? So that's what they're talking about here. So, these are things to keep in mind. The big things are that, one, make sure you have at least registered with the IRS if you haven't, or that you're up to date on your tax filings so that you get your direct payments. The other big thing is the PPP. Make sure that you are set up to receive that. Again, specifics are going to matter. Are the businesses who received PPP money before eligible to get it again, or is this only new businesses or different businesses or what have you? So all these details need to be resolved, but that is where we are for the moment. And I'll keep updating things as we go and as we learn more. So talk to you next time.